You know that moment right after you hang up the phone with one of your children, you said goodbye, you told them you loved them, and they said the same back. And then silence, the kind of silence that fills a whole room. You set the phone down on the kitchen counter and you stand there for a second, maybe looking out the window at the backyard, and something in your chest feels a little hollow, not broken, just hollow, like a teacup sitting in a cabinet that nobody reaches for anymore. Maybe supper is on the stove. Maybe you set two places out of habit before you remembered it was just you tonight. Maybe the TV is on in the other room just so there's another voice in the house, even if it's only a stranger reading the evening news. You're not in crisis, you're not falling apart. But there's something there, isn't there? Something quiet and persistent, like a draft coming in under a door you can never quite find, and nobody talks about it. Not really. People talk about staying active, staying positive, keeping busy, but nobody sits down with you and says, I know, I see it. And I want to tell you something that might actually help. That's what I'm here for today, because I've made some mistakes in my own life. Mistakes I wish someone had warned me about before I'd already lived them. And if even one of them sounds familiar to you, then this morning was worth showing up for. Stay with me. I promise this is going to be a gentle conversation, not a lecture, just two old friends on the porch talking honestly. Now, before I get into what I want to share with you today, I need to name something. There's a quiet little lie that a lot of us over 60 have started to believe, and we believed it so gradually that we didn't even notice it happening. It crept in like fog, slow, soft, invisible, until suddenly you look around and everything is grey. The lie is this, that needing people, truly needing them, reaching out for them, wanting their time and their attention and their warmth means you're a burden. I have heard women say it to me directly. I don't want to bother them. They're busy. They have their own lives. And I understand it. Lord, do I understand it? We were raised to be strong. We were the ones who held things together, who showed up, who never asked for too much. We were the ones other people leaned on. And somewhere along the way, the idea of being the one who needs something started to feel almost shameful. But here's what I want to say to that. That belief has cost us more than we know. It has kept us from making phone calls we should have made. It has kept us from saying things out loud that needed to be said. It has kept us sitting in quiet rooms when we didn't have to be alone. And more than anything, it has been a lie, because the people who love you, they do not experience you as a burden. They experience you as someone they love. And love does not feel like a burden to carry. It feels like the most important thing in the world. You are not a burden. You are a person who has given a lifetime of love, and you are allowed, truly allowed, to receive some back. Now, let me tell you who I am, because I think it matters. My name is Pearl. I'm 73 years old. I raised three children in a house that was always too loud and never quite clean, and I would give anything to have that noise back for just one afternoon. I was married for 47 years to a man named Thomas, and I lost him 9 years ago on a Tuesday in November, and there are still mornings when I reach for his coffee cup in the cabinet before I remember. I know what a table set for one looks like. I know what it's like to have the whole weekend stretching ahead of you with no particular place to be and no particular person who needs you to be anywhere. I have sat in the exact chair you are sitting in right now. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I don't have a degree in anything that would look impressive on a wall. What I have is this: a life that I've actually lived, mistakes I've actually made, and the deep desire to spare you from making some of the same ones I did. I'm going to be honest with you today, the way an old friend would be, the kind of friend who loves you enough to tell you the truth, even when it's a little uncomfortable, and who holds your hand while she does it. Now, I know you might be thinking, Pearl, I've heard all of this before. I've heard just reach out, just connect, just call someone. And you're right, you probably have heard it, but I want to tell you something different today. Not just call your kids or get out of the house. I want to talk about the specific mistakes, the patterns, the habits, the small, quiet choices that chip away at our joy and our relationships without us ever realizing it's happening, because I made most of them myself. And I wish with my whole heart that someone had sat down with me earlier and said, stop, not that, do this instead. So let me take you back for a moment. When I was growing up, and even when Thomas and I were raising our children, there was a kind of rhythm to family life that felt almost automatic. Sunday dinners that everybody came to, not because they were required, but because it was just what you did. Neighbors who brought food when something hard happened. Parents and grandparents who were woven into the middle of things, not pushed to the edge. My mother lived 4 streets away from me for 22 years, and I saw her at least 3 times a week. My grandmother sat in the corner of every Christmas and every birthday and every graduation, and we arranged ourselves around her naturally, the way plants arrange themselves toward light. I don't think anyone made a decision to let that change. I don't think any of our children woke up one morning and said, I'm going to see less of my mother now. It was more like one busy season ran into another. One missed Sunday became two. The kids got older and got jobs and got lives of their own, and we were so proud of them for it that we stepped back gladly. We didn't want to be in the way. We didn't want to be old fashioned. We wanted them to flourish. And they did. They flourished beautifully. But somewhere in all of that stepping back, we stepped back too far. And the gap grew, not from anyone's meanness, but from everyone's busyness and from our own quiet determination not to need anything. That's the world a lot of us are living in now, and it doesn't have to stay this way. Let me tell you what I've learnt. Mistake number one, waiting to be called. I did this for years. I told myself I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't want to seem needy. I would sit by the phone, and I mean that almost literally, waiting for it to ring. And when it didn't, I would feel hurt in this low, slow way that I never quite admitted to myself. And then when they did call, I would be cheerful and breezy because I didn't want them to know I'd been waiting. Here's what I learned: waiting is not dignity, waiting is just loneliness with a straight face. The brave thing, the loving thing, the thing that actually works is reaching out first. And not with a big emotional conversation, just a small, warm message. Something like, thinking of you today. No need to call back, just wanted you to know. 9 words, 11 words, something that puts love into the world without putting pressure on anyone. You'd be amazed how often that little pebble creates a ripple. People respond to warmth. Your children want to feel connected to you too. They're just busy and distracted and they think you're doing fine. Show them you're thinking of them, and more often than not, they'll think of you right back. Mistake number two, pretending you're fine when you're not. Oh, this one I did for so long, I'm fine, don't worry about me. Said it so many times it became automatic. My children would ask how I was doing, and I would say, fine, busy, can't complain. And they would believe me because why wouldn't they? I sounded fine, I was their mother, I had always been fine. But the truth was, there were weeks that were very hard. There were mornings after Thomas passed when I didn't know quite how to fill the hours, and because I never said so, because I kept the mask on, my children had no idea. They weren't being neglectful, they were taking me at my word. You don't have to fall apart on the phone. You don't have to sob or dump everything on someone who's in the middle of their Tuesday. But there's a middle ground between I'm fine and I'm falling apart, and that middle ground sounds like, honestly, it's been a quieter week than I'd like. I miss having someone to talk to over coffee. That is honest. That is human. That is something your child can actually respond to, and it opens a door instead of closing one. Mistake number three, letting small resentments calcify. Maybe your daughter hasn't called in 3 weeks. Maybe your son forgot your birthday last year and the apology wasn't quite enough. Maybe there's something that happened, something said or something not said, that sits in the back of your heart like a little stone. I know how easy it is to let those stones accumulate, and I know how they can quietly crowd out the love that's also there, that's always been there. Here's what I want to say: you don't have to pretend the stone isn't there. But you do have to decide whether you're going to carry it or set it down. And setting it down does not mean the other person was right. It does not mean what they did was acceptable. It means you're choosing your own peace over your own pride. And at 73, I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, peace is worth more than being right. If something needs to be said, say it simply once with love. I want you to know that when you missed my birthday last year, it hurt me more than I let on. I love you, and I just needed you to know that. And then let it go. Don't keep score. Life is genuinely too short, and you have genuinely too much love to give to let it get dammed up behind old grievances. Mistake number four, disappearing from your own life. This is perhaps the one that breaks my heart the most because I see it everywhere and I did it myself. After Thomas died, I slowly, quietly stopped doing things. I stopped going to the garden club because it felt strange to go alone. I stopped inviting the neighbours over because the house seemed too quiet for company. I stopped calling old friends because enough time had passed that it felt awkward to start again. And before I knew it, a whole life that had been full of people and rhythm and purpose had shrunk down to just me and the TV in the backyard. Don't let this happen to you. Please, whatever small thing you have been putting off, the walking group at the community centre, the class at the library, the old friend you haven't called in 2 years, Do it. This week, not someday this week. You don't need to make a big announcement or a big effort. Just one phone call, just one morning. Just show up somewhere that isn't your living room and let yourself be seen by another human being who is glad you're there. You are still interesting. You still have stories and opinions and warmth and humor that the world needs. Don't let the world go without you. Mistake number 5, forgetting to be curious about your children's lives. Sometimes we call and we talk about our health, our schedules, our worries, and we forget to ask. I mean, really ask. Not how are the kids in a breezy passing way, but a real question. What's the hardest part of your week been? Or what are you looking forward to? Or tell me something that made you smile recently. People of every age are hungry to be asked about themselves by someone who genuinely wants to know. Your children are no different. Ask them something real and then listen. Really listen. Without jumping to advice or comparison, you will learn things about them that will move you. And they will feel, perhaps more than they can express, that their mother truly sees them. That connection goes both ways. It always has. Mistake number 6, giving up on joy because it feels selfish. I have met women my age who have quietly decided that joy is for younger people, that wanting things, a trip somewhere beautiful, a new friendship, a hobby that sets the morning alight is somehow inappropriate or indulgent at this stage of life. As if 70 means you've used up your allocation. Honey, no. Joy is not something you use up, it is something you practice. And the more you practice it, the more of it there is, not just for you, but for everyone around you. Your grandchildren remember a grandmother who laughed. Your children remember a mother who was alive with interest in the world. Your friends remember the version of you that leaned forward at the table and said, "Oh, tell me more about that. Do the thing that delights you. Plant the garden, learn the song, write the letters, take the trip if you possibly can. Not because you earned it, though you did, but because a life still being lived fully is a gift to everyone who loves you." Now I want to come back to you for a moment. Because everything I've just said, all 6 of those mistakes, all of those patterns, they have one thing in common. They are all things that kept me small, things that kept me quiet when I should have spoken, still when I should have moved, closed when I should have been open. And I want to tell you something I wish I had understood 20 years ago. You do not need anyone's permission to take up space in your own life. You do not need your children to reach out first. You do not need someone to invite you somewhere before you go. You do not need to wait until the grief passes or the loneliness lifts or the circumstances improve before you start living with your whole heart again. You need one small brave decision made today, made this morning while you're still sitting here with me. Maybe that decision is sending one short message to someone you've been missing. Maybe it's writing down 3 things, just 3, that you still want to do or see or feel before your time is done. And then circling the first one, maybe it's picking up the phone and calling the friend you haven't talked to in 2 years and saying, "I've been thinking of you and I'm sorry it's been so long. How are you really?" She will be so glad you called, I promise you. She will be so glad you are not invisible. You are not finished. You are not too old to matter or to be loved or to surprise yourself with what you're still capable of. You are a person with decades of wisdom and warmth and hard-won understanding, and the world, your corner of it, the people who are lucky enough to be in it with you, needs that. Still, right now. Before I let you go this morning, I want to give you one gentle task for this week. Just one. I want you to reach out to one person, one child, one old friend, one neighbor you've been meaning to check on, and send them a message or make a call that says simply, "I was thinking about you and I wanted to reach out." That's all. No agenda, no pressure, just love made visible. And then I would love it if you came back here and told me how it went, or just told me something about your life, because I genuinely want to know. So here are a few things I'd love for you to share in the comments below if you're willing. When was the last time your phone rang with truly good news, something that made you smile all day? What is the one thing you wish your children or grandchildren truly understood about what your life feels like right now? And if you've made one of the mistakes I talked about today, one of those quiet habits that cost you more than you realized, would you be brave enough to name it? Not for me, but because sometimes naming something out loud is the first step to setting it down. Also, I've put together a little companion guide for reconnecting with the people you love with exact words and small steps, the kind of thing you can print out and keep on the kitchen table. If that sounds like something that would be useful to you, the link is right below this video. No pressure at all. It's just there if you want it. Now, tomorrow morning, I want to come back and talk to you about something that I think is just as important as any of this: the way we talk to ourselves, the voice inside your own head, the one that says you're too old for that, or nobody wants to hear it, or it's too late to change anything. That voice has been quietly running the show for a lot of us for a long time. And tomorrow, I want to show you exactly how to talk back to it. I think it might be one of the most important conversations we have, so I hope you'll come back and have your coffee with me. Until then, take care of your heart. You only get the one, and it's still so full of love. I'll see you in the morning.